My beloved brothers and sisters, as we welcome you to this historic April 2020 General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. For reasons you know, I stand before you in an empty auditorium. Quite miraculous, really, through the gift and power of God. We have a lot of suggestions about how it was done. We know that they had a table like this. We know they had the golden plates covered usually, and Joseph used these the Urim and Thummim seer stones in the hat, and it was easier for him to see the light when he'd take that position.
For the first time, we have an idea now of how much the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Big Investment Fund performed over the course of a year.
That fund is called Ensign Peak Advisors, and Fox 13 News investigative reporter Nate Carlisle found the public document showing how many billions of dollars it gained in 2020.
Over the last year, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has been more forthcoming about how it's investing tithing money. This latest filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission shows that despite the economic downturn of the pandemic, the Church's big investment fund made money. This filing with the SEC shows the holdings of Ensign Peak Advisors at the end of 2020. When added all up, it shows the fund gained more than $6 billion in one of the most difficult financial years in American history.
We should also be cautious about the motivation of the one who provides information. That's why the scriptures warn us against priestcraft.
We do not say that all of the saints will be spared and saved from the coming day of desolation, from the atomic holocausts that surely shall be.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. Joseph Smith History, Second Vision, 1838, verse 40. In addition to these, he quoted the 11th chapter of Isaiah, saying that it was about to be fulfilled. And in that day there shall be the root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. They avoided verse 1. So that you would know that Joseph Smith is in verse 1. But there's somebody else in verse 1. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. So Joseph Smith, that even the church will acknowledge without directly saying it, is the branch from the roots. But the branch of the rod would therefore be a Mormon in the latter days. Bruce R. McConkie would at least confess in the chapter heading that he is the Christ, as he puts it in parentheses. He also quoted the 3rd chapter of Acts, 22nd and 23rd verses, precisely as they stand in our New Testament. For Moses truly said unto the fathers, a prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you of your brethren, like unto me. Him shall ye hear in all things, whatsoever he shall say unto you. And it shall come to pass that every soul which will not hear that prophet shall be destroyed from among the people. I'm going to cheat and add an extra verse. Yea, and all the prophets from Samuel and those that follow after, as many as have spoken, have likewise foretold of these days. This is not Joseph Smith. It is the other Rod, who would be a Mormon. He said that that prophet was Christ. From Deuteronomy 18, verse 15 through 19, as is also footnoted. That is the Jewish Christ, because it's the book of the Jewish law. Notice it can't be Jesus. Notice it can't be Christianity. He is to be after Joseph Smith. He is to be in the latter days. As Joseph Smith would say, but the day had not yet come when they who would not hear his voice should be cut off. That's not what it said, was it? From among the people, but soon would come. It goes on to talk about Joel, where the sun shall be darkened, moon turned to blood, stars fall from heaven. After 2021's October conference, I finally found the myth of Adam on Diamond. I had been raised up in the church to have heard that it was the big priesthood meeting of the latter days, where all of the ancient prophets who have held keys would attend, and everybody would hand them over to Jesus, so that Jesus could reign for the millennial reign of peace. They never told us that he would conquer governments. It was just that he would get the keys of the church. But they always talked about it as the kingdom of Zion. But Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. revealed that there shall be a transfer of government authority from the usurper and impostor Lucifer, which in and of itself is shocking, that Lucifer would be in attendance. He wouldn't be able to stand anybody in that meeting if this were to be true. To the rightful King, Jesus Christ. We have been told in this church that the second coming of Jesus, he will burn the wicked. He will burn the wicked. And now I'm finding out that he's going to coup governments. Our Lord will then assume the reins of government. But then, to hear this from Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. When this gathering is held, the world will not know of it. The members of the church at large will not know of it. The world cannot know of it. The saints cannot know of it. Yet it shall be preparatory to the coming in the clouds of glory of our Savior Jesus Christ. Joseph Smith never said this. I'd like to publicly thank Paul for his efforts in trying to help spread the word with the website. I'd like to publicly thank Stanford for his contributions, his research concerning the Articles of Incorporation of Brigham Young's, and most especially for his timing with the temple treasury and Laban. He didn't realize it at the beginning. But that's how revelation works, Mormons. Inspiration. You study your scriptures. Stanford doesn't have the keys of the man like Moses. He doesn't have the keys of the head of the church. The keys of the Christ. But he listened to me and my videos and was inspired to do the studying that he did. And in so doing, and sharing with me, I was able to share with you and expose this 200-year-old plot to destroy you guys. Another leak that I had obtained was due to the terrorist Mormon who lives in Utah County. Cyber terrorism is terrorism. The penalty is life imprisonment without parole. And yet, this Mormon employee of YouTube, all these years, has risked going to prison for the rest of his life with no parole to defend this church and its crimes. So that he can silence my voice, so that you won't hear my word, my warning. To be responsible for your upcoming murder. This Mormon chose to be the worst of evil, to hurt you, to murder you, to destroy you, to commit terrorism to protect the church. So that you won't hear my warning. So that you will never know what this church is plotting. What the church is going to do today. How can somebody be so evil? Every time I get an increase in views, because YouTube is set up to do that for us as creators, he knocks me down to trigger the algorithms. And sure enough, even yesterday, my Jesus video of 7 minutes was breaking out. He knew he had to do something to stop me before conference. And so my ironing video he falsely accused me of being a copyright violation. Clips are not a copyright violation. Doing commentary is not a copyright violation. Being a religion and doing religious sermon dialogue is not a copyright violation. And yet, as it was becoming a breakout video instantly, he acted as a terrorist yet again, so that no one would watch that video, so that people would stop watching the Jesus video, that no one would watch any of my videos. How can someone be so evil? At the end of last year, he recommended I watch a Mormon who does a channel and is very popular. Very popular. And that Mormon had received the information from another YouTube creator who had found Sister Jessica's mission website from 2020. And she had posted her mission president's letter to stake presidents and parents. And he had quoted Dallin H. Oaks in the mission president's meeting in Las Vegas, Nevada, Saturday, March 14th, 2020. And these Mormons, the two on YouTube, in their mind, this was in connection with what Nelson had said at the October conference, that people found out a month later. The Mormons are all thinking Jesus is coming. And as I've been going over with you, Oaks did it in Chiasmus and says, this is not the end of the world, but merely a test, a trial run for the second coming. Do you see the connection? Joseph Smith makes it very clear we're Jewish, that Joseph Smith is Messiah ben Joseph, and that a Mormon will be Messiah ben David, that all Jewish scriptures, the whole Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith, all prophesy of him, a Mormon, the Christ, for the whole world, but specifically for Mormons. And this Utah County Mormon working for YouTube is so evil that he wants to have all of you murdered so that you won't be saved. To listen and heed my warnings. Oaks confesses he's the enemy. He's in charge of everything that's happening all around the world. That they are in control of Trump. That they used Trump in 2020 as a test run for right now. Some other things that happened in 2020 was a stock market crash, for which we found out the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints made off like bandits. And so here we are today, April 2nd. Everybody knows. Everybody is waiting for the stock market bell to ring, to panic. The press are already reporting it as, will this be Black Wednesday? The church put Trump in to have control over the whole world economy, to crash it today. Another thing from 2020 was that Trump and the church ordered every business to reopen on May 1st, the anniversary of the Illuminati. Trump, as I wondered last year, is he going to do it to celebrate May 1st as Liberation Day? And as I've done the videos, Oaks stepped in. With the Christmas devotional, January 2nd, February 16th, March 18th, and then suspectedly for conference. Easter. His deadline is Easter. And that's why Trump, instead of yesterday for April 1st, Trump made it very clear he's a superstitious person. He doesn't want it to be on April 1st. So he chose April 2nd instead. The exact same pattern from 2020, which Oaks got leaked saying it's a test run in 2020 for right now. Oaks confessed he's in charge of this. What's happening today that the church will greatly profit from is today. Trump's Liberation Black Wednesday. No one is supposed to know it's the church. And here I am, exposing it. Exposing this church. This is why they've wanted me dead. And it's a miracle I am alive and I'm here doing this video. In 1929 was Black Tuesday. The stock market crashed. There were men who committed suicide because of the financial ruin they were in. And the horrors, and jumping out of windows. My grandma Goodsell would tell of what she had to do during that time period as a little girl or a young woman. I guess she was a young woman. Well, yeah, young woman. Newly married, I guess. And some of the tactics that she would use, like storing onions and other vegetables in pantyhose. Times were tight. You had to make things stretch as long as you could. The Great Depression immediately followed. The whole nation financially ruined. And then near the end of it, Mormons not paying tithing, the church decided, fine, we'll make a bishop's storehouse. And they tried to claim that it was the great revelation from Jesus. Look at how true we are. Yeah, we were late. You weren't prepared. Just like right now, the church is not prepared for what's happening today. But the church is going to greatly profit off of it. Joseph Smith makes it exceedingly clear. Every bishop is to have a storehouse to prepare, for they that come shall burn us in the latter days. They that come to destroy us. Joseph wanted us prepared in advance so that Mormons would not suffer, Mormons would not perish. And here a Utah County Mormon wants you dead. We have over 33,000 wards worldwide. There are only over 1,000 bishop storehouses. The church is not prepared for this. You will not be saved. They have betrayed you. They have paid the Judas price and were greatly rewarded. To murder you. Oakes, with his death threats, trying to cover it up by saying, hey, Jesus will resurrect you. In 2020, it happened before conference. Here it is again in 2025. Before conference. That's why we're not doing it on May 1st. Because the church wanted it done before conference. A Mormon was pardoned yesterday by Trump. He had scammed Mormons with his Nikola company and other companies, stealing people's money. He had gone to prison. And yet Trump pardoned him, and he's released. He will be shunned in Utah for what he did to Mormons. And yet Trump was using it to purposely escalate criminal behavior. I have warned you about psychology. They came from Nazi Germany, and then Operation Paperclip brought them in by the numbers. They never got punished for what they did to the Jews. We put them to work with our CIA as they were being used to find out how to control the masses, to brainwash, to have the people be subject to the will of the government, or a secret combination. This is why we only have two major parties, a false dichotomy, both of which are in violation of the Constitution. No party government. Because this is why the church has embraced psychology, as Utah is now showing the fruits of psychology. Murder, rape, abuse, going to prison, getting centers shut down, and yet still they're pushing to get new centers built, more people enslaved and on drugs, to abuse more people and claim they're the ones who can help with your problem. But I warned you with the push of AI in every single system that AI is a malware virus, that it needed to be recalled for failure to operate. It is incapable of telling the truth. It was conducting fire sales of basic necessities and infrastructure and utilities. And then they want to hook it up to a nuclear power plant? Now they're saying that it can read human emotions. No, it can't. That's psychology. The fraud. It is no different than the fortune tellers in New Orleans, or the psychic Hollywood network, or whatever Dionne Warwick was in charge of. They watch your emotional responses to what they say as to how to proceed. They tell you what you want to hear. Psychologists tell you what to hear. So there's where the difference between the two groups come from. Psychics are a religion. Religion does it. But more like a psychologist, telling you how to feel, telling you how to believe, telling you how to think, and thus controlling your actions. Right? Utah County Mormon employee for YouTube. He better never show his face to me. I will not be able to control myself. That is what caused me to never go back to the church. That there was no way in hell I was ever going back when I found out that Brigham Young was responsible for paying and ordering and facilitating the assassination of Joseph Smith. That Mormon cannot repair the damage he did to you. He is not hurting me. It's just my voice to warn you. He hurt you, Mormons. You saw him at church on Sunday. He may have borne his testimony. And there he is, your murderer. And he just doesn't give a damn. Health and Human Services, in preparation for today, had a mass layoff. Friday is their last paycheck. Or the end of the pay period, I guess. So that the week after is the paycheck. I guess that's how it works. So I guess last week was the last paycheck. Well, for the 2 more weeks, I guess, or next week. Confusing. Why can't you pay people for what they earned on the end of the week? I never understood that. But the rich always use that to abuse the poor. You know, the homeless who have no job. People say, get a job so that you can get out of poverty. Get yourself a place to live. Get yourself all of the basic necessities. Really? You've never been poor and homeless and without a job? Because they can start. They get a job. And boom, they get no more Social Security. That's instantly cut off. So no SNAP money either, because they have a job now. And yet they have to wait for 3 weeks before their first paycheck. If they're lucky enough to get a full-time minimum wage job. Full-time meaning 40 hours, not cheating the system by 36. I warn you guys. That's why I talk about the number one thing in all scriptures, warning all civilizations not to do. Don't neglect the poor. Here we go. America is about to fall for neglecting the poor and creating the poor. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, all so that they can get their kingdom back. manipulating the scriptures to be the evil enemy so that they can take over the world. As with the Exodus, there were tornadoes that prepared the way in front of them. So sure enough, on the 31st of March, there were 9 tornadoes in 7 states, devastating the lives of Americans, likewise before they are financially ruined, and they're already financially ruined with the destruction. Those in the California fires, they've not been restored yet. Their lives are ruined. The church isn't helping anybody. The church is hoarding money. They said it was for Armageddon, the second coming of Jesus. Here it is. They're still hoarding. Yeah, because they want their kingdom back. They're hoarding the money for their economy. Which, if you're just going to go digital, you don't even need money. You just have to say, oh, our account has $5 quadrillion. We just type it in. There it is. Makes no sense. Why go through all this other than to torture the regular citizens? Catholic Charities, because of Shelby delayed, were able to get to SCOTUS first to emphasize tax-exempt status for charities. The church is not being sued for its charitable organizations. LDS Charities, LDS Philanthropies, other charities, other offerings. They're being sued over tithing and the misuse and abuse of tithing, for which the church was shut down and dissolved and does not exist legally. Tithing. Tithing is not charity. And yet the church wants it to be about charity, just like the Catholic Church. Catholic Church is a legitimate charity. They don't do what this church does. When the whistleblower exposed this church, everybody just was aghast. Because YouTube had the people doing the videos, the number 1 ranked, the top 10, top 5 religions that are the richest. Catholics were always on top. That's not how it works, but nonetheless. The church was never even considered in the top 5 or 10. And then all of a sudden, boom! The church just dwarfs them all with just tithing alone. And I don't see any more of those videos being redone. So, there's a group here in Utah that was doing refugee resettlements, bringing people to Utah. The funding from the federal government has stopped. They can no longer bring refugees to Utah. I told you. This is all the church. Section 119. They're going to purge Utah after today when they get their kingdom back. There was a person on Fox News who confessed that what Trump is doing, people have been talking about for 30 years. I've been telling you it's 40. My childhood peers were talking about it. What it's doing right now, they were talking about it. And it's gonna get worse. So, Mr. Booker went to Washington. I don't know if you guys know that movie, the original black and white that was colorized. It's a very good movie. Mr. Smith, in order to accomplish his goal for the community that he came from, had to stand before Congress and run out the clock until in the end he collapsed. Mr. Booker, Senator Booker, in protesting Trump, in trying to save those who are on Social Security, spoke for 24 hours, breaking the record. That's what Chuck Schumer should have done. Hooters is bankrupt. Support your local single mother, which often is used for stripper jokes. Never been there myself, but I saw the SNL skit. I'm very well aware of it because of my childhood peers. I only know about Hooters from Woodsy the Owl and the Tootsie Roll Pop Owl. That's the only Hooters I knew. So there's the halftime comedy among the tragedy that we're about to experience today. The fall of America that I had warned you about from the beginning, because I knew what the solar eclipse meant. I was prepared for this, Mormons. By following the Spirit, I was prepared. And I showed, and I warned, and you heard, and you didn't follow. So it's not all on the Mormon. So, Noah has been shut down. Hurricane hunters are grounded. No more warnings for the tornadoes that came and destroyed, which I don't understand why they couldn't. I use Ventus Guy. You all know this if you've been following me. Every Friday, I check for the coming week. And I knew in advance that those tornadoes were going to strike. Nobody watches those videos when I do the warnings. I even get people putting thumbs down. How dare you try to save lives? Evil is at its worst right now. Hell hath opened its mouth, and it is raging across the world and into space. Musk is talking about using Social Security to conduct raids and make arrests of people who are fraudulently using Social Security. And as we have seen with the deportations, they have no problem taking innocent people and kicking them out of the country. They'll do it with Social Security. No one must know. No one must know. And I am the one and only one on the face of this earth who knew and warned. And the YouTube Mormon employee in Utah County has shut me up.